How's it going, everybody? In between the previous video and this video, I went through and attempted to get a bunch of Windows servers deployed so that we could do some basic testing and stuff like that. And I've decided to forego a lot of the VMs that we've deployed inside of ESXi, the testing and stuff like that, with opening up a web page and things like that, because really it's not necessary. What I have decided to do is just do some ping validation tests and things like that. But as we can see, the 6.0 host actually crashed when I was doing that, so not sure exactly why, but the other host, this guy right here, so ESXi 65-2, and then the hosts for these other servers, all the other VMs came up. They installed, they booted, I was able to log in, everything was groovy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just validate the pings are going to work and things like that, because of the fact that I said I was going to. So, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about groups and users and things like that inside of ESXi. I'll take a look at 6.0 first, and then we'll take a look at 6.5 and go from there. So that's basically what we're going to do in this video. Let me go ahead and get out of the way. So I'm going to do the ping validation tests from inside of 6.5 and 6.7. So I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick to 6.7, and let me go ahead and plug in the password. And this guy will be booted, and I will click on this guy, right click and go to console, open console, a new tab, and it will be a very, very sluggish response. But and then I'm also going to go to this guy right here, and we're going to take a look at this guy, and we'll log into him as well. And we look at SRB6, we can see that we're logged in, or I should say that the page pulls up. If we click on this guy here and we go to guest OS, send keys, and control delete, we can then log in and type in the password. And then we're going to go back over here to this one. Right click on here, guest or console, and open console, a new tab, and we will be able to pull up the UI for that. We can see that we are almost logged in on this one. It does take a little bit, not exactly the fastest game in town, but considering that it's all running in software, that's actually pretty good. So this one's almost loaded. I'm going to pause the video until both of the VMs are up and running, and then I'll just validate that they've got IP addresses and that they have ping connectivity between them. Alright, well, both of the VMs seem to be up and working now. So one of the things you can do is you can click on local server on both of these, and you're going to get a sense for the IP addressing. This one's still a little sluggish, so let me see if I can't jar it. It's especially when it's busy, the CPU seems to run actually relatively slow, and you can see that we're starting to climb up there. We're at 20% CPU, not too bad, but it's definitely sluggish. This guy's got an IP address that's been assigned by DHCP, which is a good sign for us. So if we were to click on that, and another easy way to do it would be just to go to the start menu and type in Charlie Mike Dave, just call it the command prompt, and pull that up. But we can also come over here and go to status, and we can go to details, and it should have a 10.1.1.x address. I don't know exactly what it'll have, I'd have to look, but it's not, there's no internet connectivity here. It's simply just local connectivity between the VMs. So while that's working, I'm going to come back over here to this guy. So 1.34, 10.1.134, excuse me. So he's still busy working. So at least we have connectivity here that this is working. So let me talk a little bit about another variation of this. This is extremely slow and stuff like that. One of the things that we can do to help this process up is, number one, is to go get the server activated. So we have to actually change the underlying VM net from VMnet 1 to VMnet 0, so that the VMs inside of ESXi would actually have internet connectivity. This is going to allow them to call home, activate, and then be good to go. A quick reboot, and they'll be in good shape. The second thing we can do is install VMware Tools. That would greatly enhance our experience. Right now we're generic drivers, things aren't working too well. The third one is to not use the console method that we're using. We're actually using the console method inside of a tab of the web browser. Not exactly the greatest. So another way we could do that is to download what they call the VM remote console, or virtual machine remote console. It's a download you get, and it allows you to pop open a VMRC and interact with the VM itself. So let's go ahead, instead of wasting a bunch of time waiting for the CPU to do its thing, let's go through the VMware Tools install. Let's go and swap out the connections so that we can get the servers activated, and then thirdly I'll show you the VMRC. So I'll do that one step at a time. So let me go ahead and get out of the way. I'm going to close all this out real quick, and then we're going to go to here. I hit this little icon right here, and if you click on that, you'll get a guest OS, and then you have the one that says install VMware Tools. Okay, that's going to trigger the server to launch that, and as you can see, it's very sluggish, which is expected when you're running a virtual machine the way that we are. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this guy, and it doesn't matter what we do on the when we're configuring VMware Tools. We can actually do this multiple ways. One of the things that I'm also going to do from this perspective is I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to edit the settings. So I'm going to change the NIC settings from VMnet 1, or the data port group, over to the VM network port group. That will allow the connectivity to have internet access. So I'm going to go to VM network, and I'm also going to uncheck the data store ISO file and move that back to host device. I'm going to go ahead and save that configuration, and then I'm going to go back over here to this guy. So he's still waiting to prepare VMware Tools. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. Oh, you know what? That was a mistake on my part. I need to go back here and... No, it should, because I saw this go away. The DVD drive no longer has VMware Tools in it. So that was kind of a mistake on my part. But, so this guy's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and click inside of him, but you can see that the experience is very, very, very poor. So we are going to close this out to see if we can't speed this process up. I'll hold off on server 5, but in order to download the VMRC, you have to right click on here. You have to go to console and then download VMRC. There's a launch remote console, and so we're going to open remote console. We've already downloaded it. You just have to register. It's at VMware's website, and it'll automatically do it for you. So always trust this host certificate, connect anyway, and then we're going to get a pop-up of server 5. This will allow us to install VMware Tools. We're going to click back over here, and VMware Tools is kind of hung. So I'm also going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to close this one out. I'm going to click on to this host, and we're going to launch remote console, open VMRC, and then we'll have both of them open. I'll trust the certificate, connect anyway, and then I will bring this guy over here to this side, and then I'll bring this one over here. So this one here, that's a little better. It's still not great. So what I'm going to need to do here is on the VMRC, I can come down here and I can go to Manage and then install VMware Tools. That'll trigger that on here. I'm going to do the same thing here. VMRC, Manage, install VMware Tools. Not allowed in the current state. Okay. Oh, no, that was my fault. Let's click back inside. Okay, so, all right, here we go. So we're going to go click on Next. It's running really slow. So go through the install process. You guys have already seen me do this. And that hopefully will go rather quickly. Install. And that should be all I need to do there. So what I'll do is I'll click inside of here. and I've actually got to go I can tab my way through some of this stuff. So if I go to the start menu and I go to tab, I can start tabbing my way through some of it. As you can see that the connection is really bad. Actually, let's undo the start menu. Let's actually type in this PC. I may have to reboot this VM because it's running really slow. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me go back to this guy. Let me right click and power off. Yes, I want to power out the VM. We'll reboot it. Click back over here on this VMRC. This install is going quite well. We're going to let this guy play out. But the server 5, we're going to let it reboot, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. I'm actually going to pause the video, and once that process has been completed, I will bring you guys back in once VMware Tools is installed. We're also going to right click here and go to Edit Settings, and under Edit Settings we're going to change the port group from data to VM network, and that's going to allow us to activate the ISO, so activate Windows Server 2012 R2, and then we'll be in good shape. This is going to take a minute. So this is, yeah, see, it's running really hard. So CPU wise, we're not doing too bad, but then when you consider what it is we're trying to run in the background, there is quite a few things working here, so it's not exactly the fastest game in town. But I'll pause the video until all this stuff is squared away, and I'll bring you guys back in once I have it all fixed. So I was able to get the VMRCs to launch for both Server 5 and Server 6. And at this point here, this server I believe has registered. It has not. So I need to go in and get it to register because currently it's not squared away. So the way that you would do this is validate that the configuration is correct. On this guy, right click and then go to Edit Settings. And I believe it's already in the VM network port group, but if it is, as long as it is, it's an easy fix, and it is. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel. I'm going to pull out VMRC for Server 6, and the quick way to do this is to right click on the NIC, go open Network and Sharing Center, and you have to basically shut the NIC off and turn it back on to trigger the DHCP process to kick in. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to disable it. I'm going to enable this network, and it should get an IP address here momentarily, identify, and then we go back to network and sharing, and then we go to network status, and then we go to Ethernet 0, and then we go to details 190, 169. Okay, so it hasn't had a chance to call out yet. But it's identifying the network. As soon as this process is complete, we'll be okay. On the other one, on Server 5, we are ready to install VMware Tools. So next, install. So this process is going slow, but this is basically what you would do. And as soon as it's able to get an IP address, oh, I've got to configure an IP. That's right, I forgot about that. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and click on here. I'll go to Properties, and I will TCP/IP Properties. I'll grab an IP address, and I will pull up actually this server right here. If I go to him, and I ping 10.255.1.110, that IP should not respond. And I'll go ahead and I'll use that IP. I'll type in here 10. And numlock was not on 10.255.1.110/24 mask and 10.255.1.1. .255.1.1, and then quad 8 for my lookup. Okay, close. That should give me a that should get me internet access, which it does, yes. And then for whatever reason, Windows Server, it requires you to reboot. So I'll go ahead and start, power, and then restart. And then we're going to say, well, other unplanned, and do the same thing over here. So this one's almost finished. While that one is working, I want to just validate that his config is correct. Right click on here, go to settings, and we just want to validate the VM network is the appropriate VM port group, and it is. And we're going to cancel, pull up that VMRC for server 5, right click here, open network and sharing. We're going to give it 109 would be the IP, and we can just validate that that's not working either. 109. That should not work. And okay, and looks like I'm almost done with my install. So let's click back over here and right click, or I'm sorry, left click on that, go to properties, and pull up the IPv4 config, properties, use the following IP, 10.numlock 10.255.1.109/24, 10.255.1.1, and then Google DNS. Click OK, or hit the enter key, whichever poisoning method you want to use is up to you. We're going to go ahead and close that out. We'll get yes, we can find other things on the network. Close this out, and then close, and then we're going to finish the install. We're going to restart now. So I'll be back in just a moment. We've installed. At this point, we've gone through and we've swapped the interfaces over from the data port group or the VMnet1, the data port group for inside VMware Workstation communication, over to the VM network port group so that we can gain access to the internet and the outside networks. And then we've also installed VMware Tools. So that's 2 of the 3 things that I wanted to do are completed, and then I will go through and do the ping test here in just a moment once VMware Tools is installed, and do the VMRC. So we'll do the quick ping test once these guys are back online. I'll bring you guys back in here in just a moment. Okay, so our VMs are sort of working the way that I want them to. We have internet connectivity on them. So now what I want to do is go back to the settings tab, and I believe I can do this from here. If I go to here and I go to, is it preferences? Manage virtual machine settings. I should be able to edit the settings from the there we go. So I'm going to change this adapter to be data. Click on OK. And then we're going to go same thing on this one here. Go manage virtual machine settings. We're going to go to data and click on OK. And then we will right click here, network and sharing. So the experience will dramatically improve because the fact that we are now on a, we've done things differently. So we're going to go to properties, and we're going to do IPv4 properties, and we're going to basically turn off the static configuration, and we're going to let it figure itself out. So right click here, same thing, same process over here. We might have to resynchronize the connections, meaning we had to shut down the adapter and bring the adapter back on, but I will take a moment with that here in just a second if we need to. But we've done all that. So now if we go back over here, we go to Ethernet and we do details 10.1.133 and 10.1.134. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go to command prompt. I'm typing Charlie Mike Dave to get his command prompt up and see if that'll respond. If not, I can always do a Windows PowerShell. That is also an option here, which if you click right here, this is the PowerShell icon. So I can actually just do this. Let's go down here. Actually, let's exit out of that. Let's click on PowerShell, and we can do a ping to 10.1.133.133. We should be able to ping that IP. If it doesn't work, there's a workaround for that. But because they're in the same broadcast domain, they should be able to communicate with one another. So request timed out isn't a bad thing right now, because if I do an IP config, I should get 133. So that is working. So in this situation here, a lot of times ICMP is blocked. So a quick way to fix that would be to right-click here, or go to Start menu, click on the Control Panel. When the Control Panel pops up, you're going to want to go to the System tab. And close this out. Actually, that's what I wanted. Control Panel. There we go. And go to System, and then go to Windows Firewall. Go to Advanced Settings, and then what we'll do is, as that loads, we'll go to Inbound Rules. We'll create a new rule. We'll go to Custom Rule, click Next, All Programs, and we're going to select ICMP v4. Click Next, and it is next through until we get to here, and then underneath here we type in ICMP_in. And click on Finish. So there's that. So now we can close that out. We'll do the same thing over on this side. We'll go Start Menu, Control Panel, close all this stuff out real quick because we don't need all of this open. I'm impatient. Control Panel, there it goes. We'll go to System, we'll go to Firewall, Advanced Settings, give that a second to pull up. And then once that pulls up, same thing. Inbound Rules, New Rule, and then we'll go to Custom, Next, ICMP v4, Next, and then ICMP in, and then Finish. And now if we go back to this guy, we go back to here and we hit the up arrow, the ping responds. So that right there shows you that modifying the configuration as it needs to be done is sometimes necessary, but this just proves to you that yes, we do have connectivity the way that we need to have connectivity, so we have VM to VM communication, and that's pretty much going to be it. So this video is pretty much done. What I will be doing is going through in the next video and we'll talk about VM administration. So I'll log in to our ESXi 6 hosts. They've been crashing for some reason, so I'll have to get them back up and running. But I want to show you user and group configuration modes, so we can take a look at exactly how that comes into play. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.